With any form of art, there will be good art and there will be bad art. Video games are no different, with hundreds of terrible games being released every year. Some of the absolute classics in the bad game genre are Ride to Hell Retribution, Bubsy 3D, and Unearth: The Trial of Ibn Battuta Tututa. With 2023 wrapping up, there have been some pretty bad games released this year, which isn't very unusual.
Well, first test here. Do the windows break?
But this year's terrible games just feel different to previous years. There are 3 games that come to mind when talking about the worst releases of the year. There's The Lord of the Rings Gollum, Skull Island Rise of Kong, and The Walking Dead Destinies. These are the big 3, and I want to dig a little deeper into why they feel different to me compared to, say, previously mentioned bad games. I want to get to the real core of the issue, put my detective cap on and investigate, like Sherlock would, complete with my friend but would probably lovers male sidekick. Why are they like this? How could the developers be okay with this?
How?
Who is responsible? It's greed. Corporate greed. Yep, that's it. That's the answer. A pretty simple answer if I'm being honest. I guess I didn't need to get too deep in my Sherlock persona, so sorry Watson, but we're breaking up. I don't need you anymore. Just go to New Zealand or something. I'm sure there's a tall, old, hairy man for you there. Even though it's a pretty simple answer, I think it's still worth having a look at these 3 games' development, as they could signify a bad trend that I hope doesn't continue. Let's start with the big one first. The Lord of the Rings Gollum is probably the most famous bad game of the year. When it was released, everyone was making fun of it. It had terrible gameplay, it had terrible graphics, it had Gollum making an egg for some unknown reason.
She's got a little hard-boiled egg going there.
Oh, it's so cute. She sometimes takes a little pack of mayonnaise and she'll squirt it in her mouth, and then she'll take an egg and kind of. She calls it a may-and-egg. Are you okay?
I don't feel so good.
It was universally panned by critics and gamers, and rightfully so. It is an absolutely terrible game with a starting price of $90 Australian at release. But let's dig a little deeper, shall we? So the game was developed by Daedalic Entertainment. Okay, well, because it's Lord of the Rings, one of the most famous franchises in the world, you'd hope there'd be a lot of people working on it, right? Nope. Only 70 people are employed at the company, which is barely anything when it comes to AAA game development. Well, that's not a good sign. I guess the developers must specialize in 3D adventure games and have a consistent system when it comes to developing big 3D worlds. Nope again. They actually specialize in point-and-click games. Okay, so this is not looking good, bruv. Well then surely they would have a pretty big budget, right? I mean, it's a AAA game in 2023, so it must be around $100 million? Nope, yet again. The budget was around $15 million. For comparison, Baldur's Gate 3 had a budget of $100 million, and Spider-Man 2 had a budget of around $200 million, which is considerably more than $15 million. Now you might be thinking that it's an unfair comparison, but all those games were selling at the same price at launch, so I think it's pretty fair. So the game was developed by a pretty small team who had very little to no experience making big 3D adventure games on a budget that was less than 20% of its competition. So yeah, no wonder the game was terrible. With this information, you then go look at who published the game, and it was Nacon, a French company. Of course they're French, the French love half-arsing things. I mean, there are no walls on the Eiffel Tower, like come on. Anyway, you have a look at the games they publish and the companies they fund, and you notice one major thing. They love a good annual release. Sometimes they even have a company make 2 games a year. Unlike studios such as Activision and EA, who have the workers and budget to make annual releases viable, these companies are relatively small indie studios. Annual releases just do not work unless you're a huge company, and even then they are steering away from that practice as they realize it's just not a good idea. Looking at the reviews of some of their games, they all read the same. Mixed reviews, some good elements within the game, pretty fun mechanics, just needed some more polish. Now, instead of pumping out annual releases like they're a Christian mother pumping out children, imagine if Nacon actually gave the developers time to make and refine their game. I know it would lead to better made and received games, plus it would reduce crunch on the development team, which is always a good thing. So it's pretty obvious to me what happened to the Lord of the Rings Gollum. A greedy company saw a small studio developing a game with a recognizable franchise, bought the rights to publish the game, and made the development team rush production so they could get the game out quicker so they can make money faster. This same principle applies to Skull Island, Rise of Kong, and The Walking Dead Destinies. Both games are published by Game Mill Entertainment, which seem even more greedy than Nacon. It is so obvious that Gamer wanted a quick buck, so they got small indie studios to make games with famous franchises in an even quicker time frame and with less of the budget that Golem had. I mean, it's been reported that the King Kong game had less than a year to be made from scratch, which is an absolutely insane thing to ask of a small studio.
You can't keep getting away with it!
I genuinely feel bad for all three development studios. They didn't get into making games to be forced to make them in an extremely short time for a greedy publishing company who just want more money.
Damn, what is that, bro?
They fell in love with this art form because they want to tell unique stories and experiences to people, hoping they can resonate with players. I hope this doesn't continue to happen to other small studios. Next thing you know, publishers will be calling me up and forcing me to make a game and... Oh. Okay, hang on one sec, guys. Hello? Game Mill Entertainment? You want me to make a game set in the Jurassic Park universe? You want it to be a massive open world with incredible graphics and intense action gameplay with the same scope as GTA 6? And you want it done by tomorrow? And you're giving me no money to accomplish this. And if I don't, then you'll kill my entire family. Okay, well, consider it done then. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to show off the new game I made in collaboration with Game Mill Entertainment. It features amazing graphics and incredibly fun gameplay, all set within the Jurassic Park universe. So yeah, that's the game. It'll cost $100 to buy the base game, and then of course there will be a deluxe edition which will cost $150, but it will grant you access to some pretty cool skins like this one, so you know it's worth it. So yeah, this is the game, guys. I think it's got some pretty big potential to go viral and like earn a lot of money for me as well as Game Mill. I think they're pretty happy with how it turned out. So I hope I can continue working with them in the future.